everybody. Welcome to the Persona 25th Anniversary Fan Panel with the world's largest fan next to us. I'm Spencer. This is John.
What's up?
This is Marcos. This is Mark. This, Marcus, Jesus. And this is Patrick. And this is a can of Mountain Dew Spark. I just figured out this was a thing. So we're all going to review this so you can understand who we are as people, as Mountain Dew reviewers. So this is Mountain Dew with a blast of raspberry lemonade.
Does it come with any double EXP codes for Vanguard?
No codes. No codes for Vanguards.
What about Halo?
No.
What about
We're gonna-
Persona 5?
They're not even worth it.
There we go. All right, so we're going to give everybody a little baby sip.
I'd pay for double EXP codes in Persona 5.
Pass it down.
So we're gonna see how this pairs with.
Yeah, how
cough
does this pair with medicine, Lubriderm, and whatever else everyone's got in their system, or Monster X or whatever. So everybody, thank you for dealing with this. We're just having a blast here, opening packaging on the recording.
We're having a Baja Blast.
We're having the Baja Blast. That's true. We all have a cup. We don't need to share a cup.
Now, could I describe this as like the fairy tale?
Why would you combine them together? That sounds awful. All right, hold on.
It's good.
Wait, who doesn't have a cup now? Here's your cup. All right. We're going to go first with me. You know what? It's like the least Mountain Dew flavor they ever. This just tastes like raspberry lemonade, but it's really good. What do you think?
Nice bouquet.
Yeah, the rose smell on it is.
aroma.
Oh, that's true. It's a 7. Like, it's no Baja Blast, but I've had it's definitely not like trash tier like Code Red. It's way better than that.
Tangy. No,
It's bright.
it tastes well with mint.
Give it a 6. But why is it a 6?
Yeah, like you. I think I put it below Baja Blast.
Yeah, well, it's the
Needs
pinnacle
aside,
of drinks. Marcus, what about you?
It's all right.
Out of 10, though, what are we giving it?
All right, out of 10.
7.
All right, John, you've poured piss into a cup, so what's that taste like?
I mean, I tasted it before, but I mean, it's but combined with the Monster, I mean, it's okay.
Okay,
It's
out of
okay.
10?
It's okay. 9.2 out of 10 has
9
something
point-
for everyone.
Now you've just shown everyone you're discredited entirely. So hello, everybody. Thank you all for not only being here, but also for being Persona fans. Just a little bit of a heads up. This is also me recording this for my podcast. If you like not reviewing Mountain Dew on a weekly basis, it's called Shin Megami Tensei Network. You can check it out that way. But we're here to talk about Persona, so we're going to stop drinking Mountain Dew for a minute and talk about the one that started it all, the one I'm sure everyone played. No one here has not played it, I'm sure.
Not going to start with SMT if.
No, there's no P in that title. So we've got Shin Megami Tensei 1, Revelations Persona. So this is a safe spot, all jokes aside. Who here actually started with Revelations or Persona 1? So was it the PSP one or the PS1 one? Okay,
Nice.
I appreciate that. So yes,
Did you play
SMT.
through the PS1 and the PS1 Classic?
He wanted to experience it the real way, not at like 50 hertz or whatever it was. Yeah, it was on. So how old are you? Because it released in '96, so it was pretty old. Yeah, it was a funny one. Also, and a great thing to remember, if you can tell by the world's blurriest presentation behind you, it was rated KA. So this series that it's now mostly known for being M, babies allowed back then. It was a free realm. Like, it was just like, you know what? We'll really mess it up, do whatever. So Persona 1, it was doing its best back then. It did get a PC port only in Japan. That was in '99. That one I'm sure no one in here has played, but that is okay. It is a pretty, whatever PC port, but it is interesting nonetheless. Then they had Persona 2. Persona 2 started as a duology. First off with Innocent Sin, never releasing originally on PlayStation, later released on PSP, as we'll get to. Eternal Punishment, down the line, released in English, and that one was a really, really big kind of step forward for Atlus in terms of having voice acting. Weird that they only gave us the later half of a story. We eventually got it through that, but Persona 2 released 99 in Japan, 2000 actually worldwide, or at least America and Japan. And this one, I'm sure a lot more people... Oh, sorry, I didn't ask. Who started with Persona 2, if anybody in here? That's what I expected for Persona 1. So thank you for being the outlier. So Persona 3, who started with this one? Show of hand... Oh, claps, I guess. We're also recording this. That's okay. Golf claps for everybody. So Persona 3 started in 2006, 2007 for the West. Really, really big step forward for the series. You all know the drill. Social links, dating sim elements, lots of big cues from things. Really interesting story. Very, especially for the time back then, very unique soundtrack and things like that. But what was interesting about this one is then it got a kind of like 0.5 release with Fez. And I want to ask you guys, actually, for starters, who here, like, do you guys look fondly upon Fez? Like, I don't, like, because like, for me, I always like, equate it to how Kingdom Hearts had Final Mix, but that never really came out over here. Fez, I always think of it as, like, it's cool. I like what they added, but I never really, like, think of it as, like, whoa, that's, like, the release for me. Like where do you guys hold Fez, personally?
Since Fez was what I remember playing it on the PS3 through the emulator.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I would have put it in on top, but then when I played the PSP version, it's a little down for me.
You went down for portable?
Because I would say, at least in portable you can control your team members.
Mm-hmm. So our first giveaway, because I have a lot of stuff I really need to get rid of from all of you guys. So this will just be show of hands, whoever wants to actually answer it and stuff like that. Who here knows what FES stands for? Yes. Yes, correct. Come on up. So you can pick from one of these lovely, lovely Persona 5 buttons. Hold on. There's no dupes, so you get to pick whatever one comes first to your eyeballs.
Oh, actually, I have to pick the best one.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought you were going to grab the hard one. Also, big shout-outs to Amber Blossom for these buttons. Not for giving them to me. I paid for all of these, but I want to at least pimp them. These are all in the vendor hall. If you want to buy these, they're there. So, next up. The big boy, at least for me. I'm very biased for this one. Persona 4. Who started with P4 by show of noises?
Spencer, I have a question for you. I'm afraid.
Yeah, what's up?
Are you going to have an arena slide?
Oh, there's a whole slide for... We've got everything that's not a cell phone game.
Spoil it.
We've got it. We've got everybody covered. Trust me. Oh,
I
yeah,
want to
yeah.
see if I can be the oddball.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That is true. So, yeah, Persona 4, this was an interesting one because it was a post-PS3 world. So if you were playing this at launch, you were either, like... Yeah, either poor or had fine taste in RPGs at the time. This was a really late release in the West. It was like December. And I remember it was like my Christmas game for like 2008. But Persona 4 basically just took the formula and social elements and everything from Persona 3 and is a very now relevant quote. They just Scooby-Dooed that shit and just put all the Scooby-Doo everything in there. The investigation team, the cast of characters, and... What was really funny about Persona 4 is I would say Persona 3 probably has a lot more overall nostalgia, but I think just because of how much more titles came out after because of Persona 4's success, it's interesting how, like, 4 is probably not the overall fan favorite, but it's just like you can't keep it down. It'll always keep coming back, even if it's a port of a game from 2014 finally coming on PlayStation 4, Switch, and PC. So, as we were talking about before, there are a lot of PSP remakes and ports. So we have Persona 1, Persona 3, Persona 2 duology. Who here started with the PSP games? Who here had... Okay, at least somebody had. I was like, please tell me someone here plays the PSP.
I started with
Oh, okay. So, yeah. Well, the interesting thing about these were kind of... giving different options for different people at the time with the PSP ports and remakes. Basically, so Atlas had released these in that order. It was 1, 3, and then the 2 duology.
And Eternal Punishment we never got.
Very true. So we started with Persona 1, and that was the first one of like, hey, we're remaking Persona 1 in a little bit more of a modern style, but also including all of the content because the original release had some stuff missing. and blah, blah, blah like that. Oh, that'd actually be another perfect question. Who here knows the name of the missing side quest from Persona 1? Come get a button. So yes, the Snow Queen quest... Yeah, so the Snow Queen quest is in the game, but they were just so rushed to release the original Persona 1, they had to cut an entire plot line.
It's
Yeah,
not,
you just get any one of the buttons.
It's not really a side quest. It's really more like half the game.
Well,
It's an entirely different loop.
yeah, it's
controversial
a
novel.
just totally different experience, which makes it so funny that it was left out just for time and crunch reasons. So it was so funny about that.
And isn't it like very like important to the story as well?
It is important to it, but I mean honestly, with Persona 1, and I might be a little bit more biased for this one. Persona 1 isn't as story heavy as the rest of the games. It was kind of still getting. It was definitely a lot more story heavy than I would say like If and stuff, but it was definitely kind of getting the ball rolling and stuff like we would see with 2. Like 2 is way more story dependent. The next one that, like I said, released was Persona 3 Portable. This is just a super easy lowball question. What is the biggest? I would assume this is not a. I know this is very biased and opinionated. Who here would like to say what's the biggest and best feature of Persona 3 Portable? But anyone who has not gotten a thing. Well, true. But yes.
Well, one of my guesses was the female.
Correct. Female protagonist, which otherwise known as, hey, where did that go? So please feel free to come up and get a button.
Q2, that's where she was.
That's true. She was hidden for a very long time. So yes, Persona 3 Portable added, even though I Mike Wazowski'd her in the presentation with the box there, the female protagonist option was added for it, and it was interesting because it wasn't just like a gender swap. It gave you a completely different dynamic. You could now date the opposite sex.
New music too.
Except
Yeah, new
Junpei.
music.
Except Junpei.
Well, some would say that was on
You can
purpose.
date Ken, but not Junpei.
And there was like also like new characters as well, because I remember when I played as her, there was this book lady girl named Sayori.
Oh, perfect. Another trivia question. And again, try to keep it if you if you have not gotten a prize or whatever yet. Who remembers? It doesn't have to be his exact name in the game. Which future Atlas character made their first appearance in Persona 3 Portable? Yes. Get yourself a button. Bonus points. Do you remember what he was named?
Dingy man.
Do you guys remember his exact name?
Wasn't Dingy Man?
No.
No?
Man drinking at bar. They really set him up for success.
His name was Vincent in the game's files.
That is, yeah. So it was really interesting of like throwing that in there because yeah, Catherine was going to release
Yeah.
quickly soon after.
Yukiko makes a cameo too.
Baby Yukiko.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, and Chie's mentioned as well.
So along with that, we got the Persona 2 duologies. These are a lot more closer to just like what you would see now with like an HD remaster, but obviously not in HD and on the PSP. They did have new elements and they do change new things, but the biggest one for this is unfortunately it's a double-sided coin of thank you and F you at the same time.
They censored Hitler.
No, not even that. Where I would say Innocent Sin thankfully came out giving us in English a way to experience that duology, just a very uneven storytelling of it. And Eternal Punishment was a really late release in 2012. So the PlayStation Vita was already out at this point in Japan. And they were like, nobody's buying PSP games anymore. We don't want to port this to another system, so let's just make this a Japanese-only game. So even though Atlas West wanted this game to come out, Japan was basically like, you're not going to make any money from it. So they left it there. And unfortunately, this remake has still been stuck in Japan ever since. So
Yeah, there's a fan translation being worked on, but
it's been worked on for a long time.
It's been in development hell since like 2014, so
Nearly as long as the
like it has a Discord that's still active. So
Yo,
like,
how
it
sad
could-
is that? Eternal Punishment's PSP remake is a decade old this year.
Yeah, I mean it could come out in a few months. It could come out in 15 years.
Okay.
I'm willing to bet 15 years.
So here's what I'm very curious about. Who started the Persona series with Golden? Okay, this is just for me then. Who in this room, if you sold it, don't tell me you sold it, but if you just pretend you still have it.
Who started with Golden on the Vita?
No one started on the PC. That's a weirdo thing. No one bought the PC version. That's an
My roommate
indie release.
did.
Who here has, at one point in their life, owned a PlayStation Vita?
Yeah, baby.
Thank you. Okay, I was at least worried that it was like, I don't even know what that is.
Man.
Thank you. So I appreciate that at least. So yes, Golden is on PC now, thankfully. Will be on other consoles in the future, but as of now, Vita and PC is the way to play it. And Golden was kind of that interesting thing of they took what was really popular about those PSP remakes and the elements of Fez and just kind of really cranked it up. And I know there are elements about Golden that not everybody might love, like my sweet sunflower Marie.
Best girl.
But what was so interesting about it was this was the first HD, even though it was only like 540 by whatever resolution, it was technically HD at the time. Persona at the
Some
time.
of those textures look good on PC.
It's true, yeah. It is still a really, really good looking game. They added a lot of interesting new character dynamics. If you've only played the original Persona 4, I highly recommend Golden. I would say, like, would you guys say it's a safe thing to bet? Golden is just like the de facto one. Like no one's like simping. Like there's a few voice actor changes in the original. Like Chie's voice actor is different. Teddy's voice actor is different. If you want Teddy to sound like Kakashi from Naruto, you can play the original Persona 4. That's a thing that I always remember.
GA sound like an old lady.
Yeah, exactly. Chie, do you want her to not sound like Aaron Fitzgerald? Go to the PS2 version. So like, but yeah, it's one of those interesting things of like Golden's whole thing is just kind of like. It's cool, but like even the things that I know people don't like about Golden is never been enough to detract anyone from playing it.
You can skip them. I mean,
Yeah, it's all the stuff that you might not like is very optional.
you might have to sit through Marie's poetry.
Also, weird recommendation
blessing.
that I don't ever include in here, which I don't know why I don't, because this is mostly just stuck to all the games. Who here is a fan of any of the Persona animes? Who here has actually seen the Golden anime? Okay, so I hope no one here will boo me for having just said this. It's only in Japanese. They never dubbed it because it was a huge rights and licensing nightmare, and Amniplex is a big cheapo, even though they charge like $500 for anime. So if you've not watched it, it is streaming still, I think, on Funimation or Viz, although I think they might all be the same launcher now. I highly recommend it. The way to think about it is don't think about it as the Persona 4 anime again. It's literally just New Game plus the anime, and that's like the best way to like kind of think about it. It's not supposed to be a retelling. It's just kind of an interesting kind of goofy one-off and has...
It's DLC.
No, what do you call anime DLC? What does that mean?
What else am I supposed to call it?
It's an OVA.
adaptation? Yeah, it's like an extended OVA series. No one's looking at anime and be like, yo, did you see the battle pass for the new season of Demon Slayer? That thing's fucking sick, dude.
No, it's I remember watching it on Funimation. They don't have the OVA that adapted the
Oh, the
conflicts
Adachi
ending.
ones?
Yeah, they don't have the Adachi one, but I mean, you all know how to watch anime for the shady shade stuff. There. Oh yeah, if you're an Adachi stan out there, it's one of like the best Adachi stories outside of another thing we're going to talk about later here.
I was gonna say before you get to that, the great thing about the Golden anime, it actually has like original episodes with their own plot lines. And if you like Marie, you're probably the only one here who does.
No,
but
you're not alone.
Like
you're not alone.
But
the Christmas episode.
they throw her into a
where they-
lot of the plot lines more. She's more involved than
She's more naturally put into the plot for there because they didn't really have to. They didn't have to explain Chie or Yukiko in that. They were like, you know who this is.
Yeah, it's green one and red one.
Exactly. So next up, we're going to talk about, speaking of Persona 4 a whole bunch, there were a lot of spin-offs. So we are going to talk about Persona Q, Arena, Ultimax, and Dancing All Night. Who started with any of these ones as their first game?
I actually have a friend who started with Persona Q.
That's a weird one to start with because that's the crossover. So
Was he
yours
an Etrian
was
Odyssey fan?
Arena, correct?
Yeah, Arena was my first
Was
game.
he an Etrian Odyssey fan?
That's a no. Of course, we're in America.
Actually,
how many
I
Etrian
have-
Odyssey fans are you?
I have a coworker who's an Etrian Odyssey fan who
I
started
played
with
a bit
Persona
of
Q.
Etrian Odyssey 4.
No,
when I first got
hold
my
on.
3DS.
Did he start being an Etrian Odyssey fan because of Q, or he
No,
was
no.
beforehand?
No, he was an Etrian Odyssey fan.
Okay, they became a
he's-
Persona fan because
and-
of Q.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I would love that. Of like, I'm a huge fan of this series that this is the spin-off of. But yeah, so we're going to take these one by one. The first one, though, the most thing of this, basically, Persona 5 was in development for a very long time. John, feel free to make your joke about Winter 2014 now.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
There you go.
You
Did
are
not
slaves, want emancipation.
did not come out in Winter
Wait,
2014.
I got a great joke for it.
Oh, we're gonna pull the chairs out.
Oh, that's true. We've got 5 chairs right here. Everyone. Oh, okay, here's another
I got
dumb
a
easy
joke.
one.
Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem.
Boo. You've lost your spot in here just for that bad joke. Who remembers the tagline for the teaser trailer of Persona 5? There is a thing that kind of goes with it, like the tagline of it. Yes. No, that was for the game, unfortunately. That's really, but for the yes.
Something.
Yeah, you know what? I was just looking for the word emancipation, so you got that. So you can come up here and grab yourself a pen.
I think it's just you are slave, want emancipation.
Yes, the most English way to write that. So yes, yeah,
we do live in a society.
And then they showed some chairs.
and they were like, whoa, guys, we better.
Please take your chair, sir.
We were like, man, we better start working on this game soon. So we had a lot of spinoffs to choose from.
Best girl.
So Atlas had actually worked on all of these in terms of a production standpoint, but actually the only one of these that was developed by Atlas was Dancing All Night, although that's a huge other story about Dingo and Hatsune Miku. So the first ones that we're going to talk about are Arena and Ultimax. So Arena and Ultimax are a awesome fighting game that were developed by Arc System Works. You might know them from Dragon Ball FighterZ, Blaze Blue, if you're a big weeb, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus,
Guilty Gear.
Guilty Gear. Yeah, they've done a whole bunch of stuff. They're really great games, and it's basically a Persona 3 and 4 crossover fighting game that is a canonical sequel to both Persona 3 and Persona 4. So if you ever thought to yourself, I bet Junpei from Persona 3 would make a great Little League coach. This game has got a hell of a story for you, because it's got some stuff going on.
Power Ranger.
She is a nondescript Sentai ripoff, that is for sure. So it's got a lot of really fun stuff like that. And even if you don't care about its very overly long story, it is an awesome fighting game nonetheless. And anyone who's actually still at this panel after we're done babbling for another 40-something minutes, please come up to the stage. We're going to try and organize a very quick one-round each fight Persona 4 Ultimax tournament across the room, because someone has to know that there's a game room over there. So if you would like, at the end of this, please come up and let me know if you'd be interested, and we can all beat each other up with a bunch of sprite-based people. As I said, 2D fighting game by Arc System Works. Persona 4 Dancing, if you are a rhythm fan, all I'm going to say here is this. If you love the story of Persona 4, this is the sequel and the epilogue, basically, of Persona 4 as a story. And it is like one of the best dancing games of all time. I super love it. I cannot recommend it enough. It's only on PS4 and Vita. The PS4 one's locked behind a super cheap, weird other bundle we're going to talk about later. But however you can play this game, it is very fun. And as we mentioned earlier, we have Persona Q. This was developed by the Etrian Odyssey team. It's a dungeon crawler, another crossover between Persona 3, Persona 4. This one is very much more of like first-person dungeon crawling. Another emphasis on the motto for 5 here. 5 people, you're making teams of 5. Really fun. One of the best soundtracks in the entire series. So if you're one of those people who thought, guys, Persona 5 peaked, I have bad news. There's 2 games that have way better OSTs with it. Persona Q, Persona Q2. Excellent soundtracks. I cannot recommend. And actually, I think both of them are actually on Spotify and wherever else you stream stuff. So if you don't want to find a $80
all
copy.
Of them are on Spotify, right?
Yeah,
Not
even 5.
Not all of them yet. We're going to talk about that later. There are 2 key Persona games not streaming yet, but they will be next month.
It's also hard.
Hard to stream them?
No, I mean... Persona
Oh, that is
Q.
true. Yes, Persona Q is a challenging
I mean,
game for sure.
If you play them from a 3DS, it is hard to stream them.
So, Persona 5. Who here has started with Persona 5? Here's a weird one. Who started with PS3? There's always one. You know what? Just for that, get on up here. Get yourself a button. Your poverty deserves a gift.
I did not have a PS4 until 2019.
What? Okay, so now I have to ask, if you started in 2019, what was the reason and what was your first game you got?
I had a bunch of friends who were into Persona. I had like no idea of it, but they're like, "Oh, you should play this one." And I thought it was only on the PS4, and then I just found out it was on the.
Oh
PS3.
no, I meant what was the game that got you to get a PS4?
Oh, Spider-Man.
You know what? Great choice, everybody. Big Spider-Man and Persona fan collab. The Venn diagram, big circle crossovers there. Basically. So, P5, the way Persona 3 was a big evolution from the original 2 games on PlayStation, that is what this was doing, making everything bigger, making everything grander, a lot more focus on visual, music, story presentation, huge new cast of characters. Also, if you can't tell, we're not really diving in deep to this in terms of it, because a lot of this I'm kind of blowing through just in case if you don't know the history, but I want to talk to my lovely co-hosts and all of you about your thoughts on the series and more importantly the 25th anniversary. So we're almost done with games, I absolutely promise. Also, because this is talking about anniversary. This was celebrating the 20th anniversary of the series, which was, man, that makes me feel really old because
2016.
because I still think of it as like, oh yeah, oh here we can make that another question. Who knows the anniversary month for Persona? What month Persona 5 and 1 came out in? You have 12 months to choose from, everybody. Close. Well, they're all close if you think about it. Yes. Also no. Come on, guys. We're running out of months. We got 10 left. Yes. Wait, say it again? No. Anyone else? Yes. No, you're so close, everybody. You're so close. Yeah. Thank you. Please take this button. I was like, oh, sorry. What was that? Who said September? No, you. He said December. That was close, though. I don't want to steal the button. Please steal a button, though. Yeah, so September, my birth month, also lined up with Persona. I appreciate them for lining those up. And we're almost done, I promise. The forgotten ones, Persona 3 Dancing, Persona 5 Dancing, and Persona Q. Who here's played any of these 3 games? Who here actually played Persona Q2? Oh, wow, that was a lot more that held up. So I always think
I
of...
even bought that $100 bundle for the dancing games just to get Persona 4 dancing on the night.
That is very, very true for it. So basically...
Before it went cheaper.
Yeah. So Persona 3 and 5 Dancing started originally as Atlas was like, okay, Dan sold really, really well. How do we capitalize from the success of Dancing All Night? And they went, let's do the same thing with Persona 3. It's got a large fan base, obviously, like Persona 4. And then someone in the producer side of Atlas went, hey, Persona 5 is really popular. Take the exact same engine, do the exact same thing, split one game's budget in half, and Pokemon it, and it did not work well in terms of sales wise.
And then someone at Atlas was like, "Hey, we should do what EA is doing with their DLC."
So you can't complain about P3 and 5's DLC because it's literally just as bad as Dan's. And as someone who bought all of it, it's like the DLC thing is like all of them are like that. Like no matter how much we complain, like we're not gonna get them to stop charging for things.
I don't know. The whole package, like after the DLC and all
The
that,
ol-
is like $200.
The only reason 3 and 5 look bad is because those were sold as two $60 video games back to back.
Right.
If it was like, because remember, Dan did the exact same thing. If you just sold it in one package, just call it Persona 35 or whatever, and they're all dancing for some reason, like it would have not been looked at as badly. But it's just, it looks really confusing because they're selling. By the way, if you remember, the DLC for 3 works in 5 and vice versa, which makes no sense. The 3 songs aren't in 5, but you can have the guy who died in 3 dancing in 5. I don't know how that makes any sense, but I guess whatever.
And I guess my one thing with 5 is that it came out, the songs were very limited.
Oh, yeah.
Like if they waited until Royal and Strikers and Q2, then maybe they could have came out.
It was less than 2 years after Persona 5 had released, so the anime had just either finished or started at that point.
Didn't even finish.
But they at least had the OVA like openings though.
Well, they had the first
break in, the
OP
breakout,
and
the Dark
first
Sun
ending.
Yeah, so they had not even touched into all the other kind of musical stuff. So no tracks from Royal, all the DLC. Like what's funny is like they just never really touched it up. And I feel like if they had waited almost until now to do Persona 5 Dancing and just put all that money back into Persona 3, I think we would probably look at these all a little bit different because at their core, if you like rhythm games, this is just a better version of Persona 4 mechanically. The dancing is really tight. They've got a lot of really like great like options in there if you like to make your dancing games harder. They really bit themselves off of the knees in terms of selling it, and the track lists are really, really low. It's great if you look at it, and so like I'm a lot more of a staunch defender of these games because I look at them as how they are now. These games you can't like to buy both. You can probably get both for like $20. They're really cheap.
They go on sale all the time.
They're really, really cheap. Like they're just all over the place, and like they're just really, really fun. It just sucks that like how it was started. Because yeah, the mixed reception is like, in terms of a game, it's not bad. It's just they sold it in a terrible, terrible way. So Persona Q2, unfortunately, also has its problems. Most of them are just due to the fact that it was a 3DS exclusive in 2018/2019.
Didn't have a dub either.
Thank you for stealing my next trivia question. Yes, it did not have a dub, pretty much for the fact that it's a 3DS exclusive in the year 2019.
Yeah, with Switch being out.
Yeah, so, and unfortunately that then led to it being like one of the hardest to come by. It had a really, really low print run. Here, we'll give another softball one. Who remembers, or I guess who can tell me, what was the plush included with the Persona Q2 Collector's Edition? All I needed was dog. Come up here and get your button. Thank you. Thank you, Koromara fan number 1. So next up, these are our last games. You might have heard of these. They're like little indie games. So we've got Persona 5 Royal, which released 2019 in Japan and 2020 in the West, otherwise known as the Before Times. And next we had Persona 5 Scramble and Persona 5 Strikers. Oh, actually, I should ask, who here started with Royal? I'd be curious if anyone here had Royal as their first game. That is much more surprising than I thought. But so Royal is kind of taking that tradition of what Golden started, and less so with Portable and Fez, of just expanding upon things. But really, for the most part, it's less of a director's cut and more of they made a lot of quality of life changes. It's the same game until you beat the original game, and then they added a couple of extra weeks of content. It's really good content, but they probably should have threaded out a little bit more. But if you've not played Persona 5 Royal, I cannot recommend it enough. It is a very, very good game, even though I definitely have my issues with it. Yes? Yeah, they fine-tuned a lot of the dungeons, but that was one of those things that they hyped up a lot where... Do you guys remember before Royal was out? They were like, we've added and changed new things to the dungeons. We've edited new things. We've got new boss patterns. And then, by the time you're, playing through them, you're like, it still feels like the same dungeon. It wasn't like, whoa.
And those changes, stop.
Oh, yeah. They give up.
The last dungeon, they just stop.
Yeah, literally, the final dungeon from original Persona 5, the Mementos Depths, there's no changes to that at all. It's just they did nothing for the bosses. They just kind of you know what, just get to the good stuff later. This is the worst part of the game. Enjoy it.
Though the
got
best
Jose,
thing
and you
about
got the-
Royal is that they gave Haru more screen time.
It's true. They had to explain why this random poofy girl was hiding for half of the game.
This is the best thing about Royal right here.
That is true.
Maruki.
Dr. Maruki is, without a doubt, probably the best part of Persona 5 Royal in most people's opinions. Also, shout out to Jose, because Jose is great and never gets enough love. The jacket guy? There's a detective from 4? I don't want to say you're wrong, but I think you might be wrong, because I don't think there's anyone from 4 they added into 5.
Well, there was a poster for Rise.
Yeah, but I mean in terms of characters for it. So, yes.
There was a brief one-liner that mentioned how when Taiyou was on TV, they called him the second.
The other ace detective over there. So yeah, Persona 5 Strikers. Who here has played Persona 5 Strikers? Thank you all for having fantastic tastes. So Persona 5 Strikers was developed for almost 4 years by Omega Force and Koei Tecmo, and this is this is Persona 5 2. If you want to know what they did after the events of Persona 5, please play Strikers. It's on PC, Switch, PS4, runs great on PS5, and as we'll mention later...
Got a question.
Oh, yeah, hold on.
I was going to say, Persona 5 Strikers is free right now.
How'd you know? Come on up here. Get yourself a free book. Come on, you're stealing my thing for it.
Sorry.
That's okay. There's one left anyway. So, yes, if you have PlayStation Plus and an active internet connection, it's literally free for this entire month, and you have no excuse not to play it. It's a really long game. It's really, really good. Even if you hate it, all you wasted was your internet. So, and I guarantee you're not going to hate it because it's a really, really good game. Oh, I guess I could ask, because we're amongst our peers here. This is a safe space. Does anyone here, including you guys, anyone not like Strikers?
He doesn't.
Yeah.
Who?
That person in the audience
Oh.
just said no as he walked by.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. When the doors, it's like my professional Regis Philbin brain. I can't allow distractions to distract me at all.
One big
Oh, and
golden
remember-
star for having Jean Valjean as a
That's
persona.
true. It's the only game we're going to talk about with any Les Mis references. So the real reason we're here, Persona is turning 25, which originally, when I was making this panel 3.5 months ago, just meant a lot of merch is available for sale in Japan. Thankfully, we have things to talk about. But before we dive into that, I don't want to just be a guy talking for like 9,000 hours. So I thought it would be kind of fun. If you guys, by the way, have any questions or anything you wanted to add, I'm going to throw this out to you guys first before I ask my co-hosts. Who here would like to just make an active stand and say, this is my favorite Persona game? Could be any of them. It doesn't have to be a mainline. This is my favorite and why? Because I always like to like ask people, like get like a vibe of like, why does this game resonate with you? Who feels very adamant and wants to let themselves be heard? Yes.
Persona 4.
So why Persona 4?
Because Persona 4 has, in my opinion, has one of the most endearing paths. And, because like when I played most of the game, like Persona 3, 2, whatever, but I think 3's path has the most interesting, like, dialogue and the most interesting stuff like that.
See, that's one of the things like I think always brings me to 4 is like you mentioned the cast being so strong. Like, do you like who's like when I say like who's the best cast? What's like the one you guys go to in your brain first out of 1, 2, 5?
4, absolutely.
2's duology.
2's is great, but it's definitely a different vibe for sure. What about you? Best cast.
I was also going to say 2.
Oh, here I'll
But-
be mean. Which is better though? Innocent Sin or Eternal Punishment's cast?
Eternal Punishment.
No, I want to say Innocent Sin.
I would also go Innocent Sin out of the 2.
Like, he being as the like more adults in college age, like
Well, that's why I like him.
What about you? Best cast?
I would say 3.
But a 3 doesn't have Haru. Are you sure about
yeah.
that?
Oh, yeah. That's fine. 5.
That's a great argument, but Haru was not in there. Oh, what's up?
I watched so many videos and played so many Persona games. I did a lot of research. Would you consider the first 3 games the trilogy because they do connect at the end?
So I think it's safe to say that there's 2 trilogies with Persona of the origins of 1 and the 2 duology, and then there's 3, 4, 5 feel very similar in terms of how they were built.
Yeah, because there's some one appears in the so.
But oh yeah,
I was going to say, I call 1, I call like 1 in the 2 duology, I call that the Okada trilogy, and I call 3 through 5 the Hoshino trilogy.
Cozy trilogy and Neo Persona, basically.
and even now the next main Persona game isn't going to be made by the 3, 4, and 5 team.
Yeah.
They're now working on Project Refantasy. So now we're going to be entering a new kind of era. So the team who made Persona 4 Golden and Persona 5 Royal, that's a totally separate team who didn't make those original games. They're now going to be working on the next mainline game. So that'll be really interesting to kind of see where they go from there. Because like I'm sure they probably have just the worst like pressure of just like, great, I have to follow up the best-selling game in the franchise. There's no pressure at all.
Isn't the guy who does the music for it? He left Atlas to form his own company.
So yeah, Shoji Meguro left, but he's also like he's going to be like a Uematsu where he's just going to contract. So like if Atlas really wanted, because he even said in his goodbye letter, like Meguro was like, I'll still work with Atlas. I'm just an independent contractor now, as opposed to I'm a full-time staffer, because he wants to make third-person strategy shooter games, which good for him.
Let's get Mick Gordon to do the soundtrack for Persona 6.
Marty O'Donnell.
Both people who are very infamous for being hard to work with. Oh, I'm sure neither Atlas are like, you know what? Rip and Tear could really add a lot to this JRPG.
Maybe we could get Doom Guy to be a guest character.
Okay, explain to me how Doom Guy could fit into any Persona setting outside of being a summonable Persona.
I don't know. Same way Bayonetta can be in DX2.
DX2, well, we can't bring that up. That's a whole other thing. So
Guts from Berserk got in there too.
Exactly.
Marketing of here. You want to know? Here's a depressing actual answer. Everybody, please be honest and keep your hands lower if they have to be lowered. Raise your hand if you play Shin Megami Tensei DX2 on your mobile phones. That's what I thought, everybody. That's why that game's at the low tier for me. So we're here to talk about the 25th anniversary. I guess we can do another giveaway. This is a little bit of another softer ball one, but I got a whole bunch of other stuff to give away. Who remembers when Atlas Japan announced last year how many announcements were going to be for the 25th anniversary? This is a number. How many announcements were going to be part of this celebration? What's the number?
4.
You're up here. You can't get it wrong.
5,
No!
6,
No!
7.
It's 7. That was too many. I can't have you get a prize for that. Yes, it was. It was 7. I appreciate you were still adamant. So yes, Atlas said we're going to celebrate Persona the same way Nintendo respects the greats. We're going to do the Year of Luigi for Persona's 25th anniversary. And God bless them, they were like, we're going to make this go over its anniversary. So they are starting in September of last year. And starting, I use that term very loosely. Who here has been following the 25th anniversary Persona announcements? I'm sorry to both of you. As someone who follows it professionally, you're not missing very much. So they started off really strong with high sarcasm with the first Persona 25th times. I guess we can make this another trivia question. This should be easy. What was the big major announcement from this first video? Yes. Get your prize, of course. The announcement of an announcement. So our next prize is
Atlas tradition.
yes.
Just Atlas being Atlas.
So our next prize is a set of either a button or keychain acrylics, and these are by Allergic to Ramen, who again did not pay me for these. I paid them, but you're more than welcome to just pick one and live it up.
I like the Mona.
All right. So, Mona, speaking of Mona, our summary for the announcement was absolutely nothing. So that face really sums it up of like, hey, how was that live stream? Like, my wife in the corner playing Genshin Impact will attest to. Nothing like makes me more sad because like I'll do like live reactions to these or whatever. I'm reacting to this at like 4 a.m. in our guest bedroom to people. And it's like, she'll be like, how did it go? And I'm like, nothing happened. I've wasted so much oxygen.
They should have just had Rick Astley there.
I have never laughed harder in my life. I'm pretty sure my neighbors think I'm insane.
Oh, when it was live happening?
Yes. Oh my God. It was amazing.
Yeah, so in actuality, they basically announced a bunch of merch, a concert no one could stream unless you were in Japan and could actually go to it. Although I heard the concert was absolutely excellent. It was a symphonic concert. And they were like, expect more news in December. So, next news, December of 2021. For their next prize, who would like to guess what was the major announcement from the 2nd December? This should be really easy because I think we've already talked about
There's
it.
a huge hint on the screen.
Yes. Come on up here. Get your rollback netcode butt cheeks up here and get yourself a free prize. So, yes, Atlas, actually, ironically, not through this. They gave Jeff Keighley the W for this one. They announced that Persona 4 Arena Ultimax is back. And not only is it back, the crossover Arena Fighter Excalibur Amazing, Awesome, Super Fun Times Edition is going to include all of the story content from Arena and Ultimax, and put a big asterisk next to this, all of the DLC that really matters. You have all the DLC characters, so you have Adachi, Marie, Margaret. You've got the story content from the original Arena. You have the excellent story for Adachi. You have the Navigator DLC. You have the Glasses DLC. And yes, if you're asking yourself, did they sell pixeled glasses as DLC? Yes. That DLC you can complain about. And then a whole bunch of background tracks.
So they took it from Bethesda's book with the horse armor?
I would say, but I bought this, though. I didn't buy the horse armor. So really, at the end of the day, like I can't make fun of the horse armor if I didn't buy this. So
Wait, so Spencer, you said almost. What's missing?
So right now, we're still in limbo, which is embarrassing because this game is supposed to be out in basically 2 months. We know there's online. We don't know if they have the online chibis, which were part of the DLC, and we still don't know because promoting video games is hard and answering Spencer's emails is even harder. So
It's also not coming to Xbox One either.
Well, listen, Xbox fans they're getting bullied enough through this panel. And I say that as a Series X owner. So this game is coming out March 17th, 2022. Really, really big deal with this is that it is now finally leaving PlayStation 3 and 360 and I guess arcades. And this is going to be the most up-to-date version of the game. So arcades actually got more patches than the console versions did. So if you've only ever played this game and never tried it in Japanese arcades, there are huge changes. They changed a lot, and basically the shadow characters are like a completely different roster of characters the way they've changed it. So if you like fighting games, I cannot recommend this game enough. If you love Persona's story, it's very long, but it is worth checking out. It's coming to, like I said, PS4, Nintendo Switch, and Steam. Unfortunately, and prepare to boo, or actually I guess here, by show of hands, who's disappointed that this is a digital-only release in the West?
And I guess even more disappointing is that for someone who's following the fighting game community, there's no rollback.
Yes. So
well, supposedly they said they might add it in later.
If you asked for it enough and it's sold well enough.
Mm-hmm. So if anyone's not aware, do you have a quick summary of what rollback netcode is for everyone out there?
So basically, for those who don't know fighting game lingo, rollback netcode basically helps make your fight, even if you have the most terriblest internet connection, you would still be good when playing online. Pretty much every fighting game, pretty much now, if you have a fighting game and it has online, you will need to have rollback netcode.
Here's a great comparison. If you wonder what does sometimes really bad and spotty fighting game online netcode feel like, if you've ever played any Nintendo Switch game online, it's like that. It's just think Smash Brothers Ultimate, but with Persona characters, and just have a bad time. But sometimes it's a good time. But if you're playing with someone in Japan, it's probably going to be a bad time. So, yeah, not awesome.
The funny thing is that Nickelodeon Smash Brothers game
Yes.
has rollback netcode, and Smash Brothers doesn't.
Yes.
Hey, that's because it's got that Nickelodeon money.
Yeah, they got the Garfield money. If you can afford Ninja Turtles and Garfield and the Loud House, you can afford rollback netcode.
Can't afford Jimmy Neutron, though.
That's true, yeah. They have no excuse for Jimmy Neutron. I'll give you that. I can understand Doug, and I can understand no Goku. Jimmy Neutron, that's a weird one to leave out. So, they did also announce a whole bunch more merch that we're definitely not going to get, but there are two interesting things that will actually affect us if you're interested. They also announced that, and believe it or not, up until now, there is still no official full soundtrack release for Persona 5 Royal and Persona 5 Scramble. There is one really interesting track. Does anyone here know the one track from Persona 5 Royal that to this day has never been released, the full length track? Yes. Get on up here. Of course, okay. Well, get on up here. Get yourself another pin or throw it out to anybody or whatever. So that's okay. So yeah, the main theme song to Persona 5 Royal has never been released. I think the closest we got... The closest we got to it, somebody's getting that. The closest we got was like some live performances for Super Lives, because I know they performed a longer version of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but there's
you
no.
can find it on YouTube actually.
But again, that's going to be like
a
fan edits. So like, there's no clean
no.
version.
Well, yes, but
No
I was going to say
clean.
there's
So
a
basically it looked
karaoke
like
performance.
So basically it looked like those like cons where they leaked the trailer and it's like
But literally just for a 3.5 minute song they could have released for no reason. So those will be coming to streaming and CD platforms if you care about physical media. Also, if you care about physical media, I'd be curious about this. So Persona and IM8-Bit are working together to. This is already technically released. They are doing vinyls for Persona 1 through 5. Did anyone here buy these? These are very expensive.
I would get these, but I don't have a vinyl. And then I saw the price.
Yeah, it's $100 per. Well, actually, I think the other ones might be more expensive. I think Persona 1 and 2 are $100. Persona 3, 4, and 5, I think, are like $125 or $50. They're very, very pricey.
Yeah, it's like the whole set's like $500, isn't it?
Yes, the whole set is $500 altogether in the
that's the
nice
one
box
that-
set.
It's even more than the P5 animation Blu-ray.
How many
And you can watch that for cheap on Funimation.
Also, that's the weird one. It's none of them are the full soundtrack too.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like a selection, which makes it like.
Which I get it. It's like a weird double-edged sword of like, I know vinyl production's really, really expensive, but this is like such a weird like collector-y kind of thing that like I don't.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you consider how big the soundtracks are. Like, P5 soundtrack is 4 CDs.
Yeah, and they did do that's the weird thing. They did do the full vinyl back in the day. But they made it limited for some reason.
Yeah, like I saw it. They were selling it on Right Stuff, and then when I remember went to check on it again, and gone.
It's one of those ones of like, even for me, like as someone who has like a vinyl collection, I like the idea of like game soundtracks and stuff on there. But yeah, when you're like breaking over 100, that's like really tough. But then also at the same time, like there, as the vendor hall here will probably show you, there are tons of figures that go for over hundreds of dollars that people will buy. So like, it's a weird like line. Like everyone kind of has like their one vice. Like for me, unsurprisingly, I will buy any steelbook, anything that interests me or whatever at all. Like for you guys, what's like the Atlas or Persona thing that you're like, I don't care how expensive it is, I'm gonna buy it?
An Aegis plush.
Do you have an Aegis plush?
No.
No, I need that. I mean, I need the thing that you bought that is expensive, but you said F reason, I still bought this anyway. Like how there's that like life-size Demi-Fiend like bust. Like that's if you see someone has that in their house, that guy is either really rich or does not have a girlfriend purchase. I'm like, okay.
I honestly, I think the most expensive like Atlas thing I own is the Korean version of, or the Korean collector's edition of Nocturne.
That's like, that's one of those, that's in that fun category of that's really rare, but for all the boring reasons of it's because no one's looking it up. Yeah. Because like you don't really think about it. Like, so what about you? I'm assuming I know what yours is.
Probably not. So I probably spend the most money on those limited like PS4 Persona 5 controllers, which were like $100 each.
They're nice though.
They're super nice though.
I would have thought you were going to say the
they
Super
were
Loves.
like, but I bought all those when they came out, so they weren't that much money.
Look at them now though.
Well, I haven't.
That's
I
true.
don't need to.
Well, actually, it's not SMT or Persona, but I paid $120 for a complete copy of Cubivore.
I would, but that's also I want to give it to you, but then also GameCube collecting is a nightmare zone. But I will give it to you because Cubivore deserves more love. Marcus, what about you? What's the like if you that you've bought it, but you know you shouldn't have bought it?
I want to say something apparel, but no, I couldn't say like SMT5 collector edition because everyone wanted that.
That's true. That's like saying I didn't want water.
Actually, I've got something on right now. I've got my Jack Frost socks on.
Can you show it? Can you like high kick us to show everyone your awesome socks?
Now for a little bit of a fashion show, everyone.
Or a foot
this
fetish.
Is what I need. Right here, Jack Frost in white on a blue sock, and I bought them for like $12. And then on the last day of AX, they marked them down to $7. So I felt cheated. Officially cheated and personally cheated by Atlas.
So Marcus, what about you? What's the purchase you shouldn't have made, but you had to buy it anyway?
Well, I think I said it before, but it was the Persona 3 and 5 bundle that was $100, or was it? How much was it?
It was $120.
Yeah, $100.
Oh no! I'm sorry.
No,
I'll correct myself. It was $100. It should have been $100. MSRP was $100 to make it look like a deal. But yes, that was $100 for 3 games.
But what about that art book, man? Like so many pages.
So many
PNGs.
Yeah,
it was
that,
great.
and it was basically the only way to get Persona 4 Dancing All Night on the PS4, Though they later shortened it, I don't know how much. Though I did have another one I did buy and it was like another GameCube game from Atlas. It was a
Go Hypergrind.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because there was a YouTuber I watched, Rebel Taxi. He did a video on GameCube games, and that was the first thing he talked about.
That is an awesome one for it. Is anyone here like a physical? Oh yeah, what's yours?
You have to ask.
That's true. Kat, what is your overly priced Persona purchase you bought?
I ended up selling it, but okay, the Persona 4 Ultimate or Arena fight stick that I imported from Japan. It was like $250.
So you didn't buy that from Mad Cats directly?
No, I had to import it.
I think it cost me $250 as well. Yeah, it was up there in price.
I feel a little
Yeah, you're good.
$60 on that. How?
No.
Yeah.
The big TE2 one I have.
The Ultimax one.
The Ultimax, the one I have.
There's a difference, Kat. There's a difference.
I forgot if it was the Arena or the Ultimax.
No, it was the Ultimax one. It's the big. It's this really big like fighting game stick
I was
turn.
about to get really mad at you, Kat.
No.
Kat, I thought you were going to say your Koromaru plush. I would have been so sad if you sold your plush.
It's not that expensive.
No. Okay, so
He's expensive
I
now.
imported every single Persona 3 movie. After the first one, I decided I'm only going to buy the pre-order of the ones, because certain pre-orders in Japan stores, you get special items. And I think for the third one, Midsummer Dream.
Two was the one with the Koromar plush.
Was it?
Yeah, it was 2. That's okay.
Oh, you know what? I have to say, that's my advice. I bought the physical version of Persona 4 Golden, the animation.
Okay.
Which is like $200, so yeah.
Thank you, Aniplex.
Because it's
So-
the best damn anime.
So everybody in here,
that's
because I was like
why.
asking like other collectors, who here, does anyone have a very expensive Persona-related purchase they'd like to get off their chest or just brag about? Yeah.
Q2.
Now, how much did you pay for Q2?
Well, I didn't pay anything, but my friend who bought it is paid $100 for it.
Like just the game or the CE?
It was the whole thing. It was basically-
Honestly, for the CE, that's not bad. Yeah.
So I got 2 things. One was I went to Japan and bought art books that were in Japanese, so I couldn't read them, but they're kind of cool. The other one, I actually got a tuxedo cat named Morgana.
Oh, nice.
I don't regret that purchase.
Oh, I would hope not the animal. Yes.
The digital copy of Persona 5 Royal Complete Deluxe, $150.
That's a big boy. But as someone who also bought all that DLC for educational purposes, I also regret that.
No, you bought it for Demonicus.
No, I remember I was the first person, because I had a review code of Persona 5 Royal. I'll never forget this. The second the DLC went live for Royal, I bought the all-in-one DLC bundle just so I could be the first person to give it a 1-star review, just in hopes that it would scare someone away from buying it, because you didn't need to buy any of that DLC. And it was just so funny of like, I have to buy this to cover it, but I don't want to buy all this DLC. I know there's a problem.
It didn't work.
No, it didn't. No, everybody bought it. It didn't matter. Some dumb guy in Kansas did not stop that. So, any other purchases anyone wants to share at all?
It's also not Persona, and I only paid 2 for it, but Rule of Rose.
How much did you pay for it?
I said $2. $2.
$2. All right, here's the more real sad question. Who here in this room knows what Rule of Rose is? That's 2 more people. 3 more people than I would have thought. So I appreciate that. So we have to start wrapping up because I talk for way too long. But we do have speculation. So we're going to do a fire round. We're going to go circle here. And then if you have a speculation or a want, you're going to will this into existence. Raise your hand and I'll call on everyone for their hopes and dreams. So Marcus, what do you want to be announced with the final 4 Persona 25th anniversary announcements? Rapid fire. Just go to your gut. What does your gut say you want?
That's too obvious. A full remake, perhaps on like modern hardware of the, perhaps even 1, but the 2 duology. At least.
Like when you say remake, are we talking like Final Fantasy VII remake
Yes,
level remake?
yes.
That's
It's a tall order.
a tall order, but I appreciate it.
But
John,
yeah.
What about you? What's your gut tell you?
Persona 5 Arena, but instead of a fighting game, it's an arena shooter like Quake or Unreal Tournament.
Let's make this game as unprofitable as possible. Okay, Patrick.
Persona Strikers 2.
P522.
But not Persona 5 cast. The Shadow Operatives.
Oh, okay.
Persona 4 Arena.
I appreciate the lore for that. Anyone have a crazy thought they want to will in there?
Happen,
Yes.
But I want that.
So with definitive to you, because everyone's different. For me, this is my definitive version. Give me a 4K version on all consoles of portable, and that's all I want. For you, what would that be? Would that be has everything, all versions on all systems? Yes. So then I will only ask you this. Would you fix or change anything with the answer? Because for me, you could include the answer as like a DVD story extra, and I'd be like, that's good. I don't need to play through that ever again.
Nope, I disagree with that.
It's a long game
Leave it
for
as
not a
is.
lot of story.
Yeah, I love the answer.
It's a good story, but it's not a fun game. It's not a rewarding epilogue to me.
I think it's a nice challenge.
It has its merits, but I definitely feel like there's a reason it was left out of portable. They probably could have squeezed it in if they wanted
cowards.
it. They are cowards. Yes.
I'll just say all the Persona games on Switch.
So, are you someone... So, like, let's say Persona 6 gets announced. Actually, this would be a good poll for the room. Persona 6 gets announced. It is releasing on everything. And I mean everything. Apple Arcade, even. We'll get it on the N-Gage. Persona 6 is the Fortnite of video games. It's releasing on everything. Raise your hand if you would play it on the Switch, preferably. Raise your hand if you would play it on PlayStation. Raise your hand if you would play it on PC. And now laugh at me for saying Xbox. Thank you. That Series X version is going to smooth like butter.
Would you play it on the Ouya?
Oh, yeah. Well, it'd be Android, so it'd be on everything.
Yeah. So you can play it on the
The
Ouya.
Nokia N-Gage.
So we've got to oh, hold on, because you made it here. There's one last question for you. What's the one thing you want them to announce for the 25th anniversary?
Well,
It can be anything you want. First thing that comes to mind.
well, if you look back at the Persona 1 and 2, in a way, the gameplay kind of aged well a little bit. I always would like for them to remake those games.
I'm glad you're sitting next to Marcus because you stole his answer. Great job.
Of Persona 5.
So we're going to wrap up. First off, I just want to say to everybody here, thank you all so much for sitting through a Mountain Dew taste test and then a blathering of this 25-year series. Quick little thing to give a shout out to with our blurry projector. Don't forget, Persona 5 Strikers is free for the rest of this month. If you've not checked that out, please check it out. It's really, really good. Even if you just want to make a trial and check it out, it's very, very good. There is also a amazing Persona 5 manga that is just the adaptation of the series. Viz is publishing it. It's very, very good. I would actually say so far, I like the storytelling in the Persona 5 manga more than the game and the anime. That is currently up to Volume 7. Volume 8 is about to release. And then Udon is publishing Persona 5 Mementos Missions, which is, if you like the world of Persona 5 and you just want more of that, this is an entirely original story of, this is what would happen outside of the story of the game. It still takes place in the setting of the game, but it's just things that you might not have seen with the cast and the characters. The art's amazing. I cannot recommend it enough. And the only other two things to kind of promote and kind of remind people are happening. Udon is releasing a Persona 5 art book. If you might remember, they released one forever ago through Prima Games. I think it was Prima Games, yeah. They did it like a strategy guide one. But Udon is doing an official translated art book that's going to include P5 and
You
Royal
forgot
stuff.
about one release.
It's right there.
No, they released it digitally.
Oh, yeah, that's
the
true.
The Japanese publisher released it digitally, and that must have been a machine translation.
It was.
Horrible
They are not using the Famitsu Google Translate, thankfully. And the final one is after 9 million years, because this got announced at Comic-Con like over 6 years ago. Persona Q is getting a art book release, which as someone who has the Japanese one, I cannot recommend enough because that game is a bunch of really, really, really great art. And then spin text for funsies animations. Thank you, everybody, for coming. This is when you either boo or tell me how you felt about whatever it is you just sat through. Thank you to all my friends for coming on. So, Patrick, Marcos, Marcus, John, and
the ice cream collab.
yeah. There's my world's saddest QR code, and this is me trying to do my best job at promoting myself. I do YouTube stuff. I do podcast stuff. I do whatever. But yeah, I'm online. You can check out this otherwise. Otherwise, enjoy your convention. Thank you all for coming. If you would still like to get a prize, I'm not going to say come up and get them all because I spent money on these and I got to make you earn them. I have 2 other panels. He's got 2 other panels. My 2 panels are about SMT5 later tonight at 10 o'clock. Yours is at 11. What is that one?
It's Intro to Shin Megami Tensei.
What's your other one tomorrow?
It's Obscure Alex Games.
Okay, and I have another one that is not related, but if you like visual novels or want to get into visual novels, I'm doing the visual novels for beginners panel. So if you like free stuff, consider coming to both of our panels and trying to get free stuff. But thank you all so much for sitting through this. I really appreciate it.